Alright, so in this project I'll be tackling the challenge of transforming this old worn-out toolbox filled with a mismatch of poor quality tools that I really don't want and I don't use into a well-organized and functional storage solution, I hope. So first I'll empty out the contents and sort them out and lay them out in the case the way I like them to be. Okay, that's the idea. And I will hollow out the mold of this case and replace it with a shadow foam that I will be making myself using an old yoga mat. That's the idea of this project. Okay, so by doing that, I will not only reorganize this toolbox and make it very much personal for me, but I will also try to be as sustainable as possible by using materials I have laying around the house and in my garage. So that's the basic idea. I hope you're gonna enjoy this video tutorial and enjoy the video. Okay, so we start by cutting some sheet out of this yoga mat, a very old yoga mat. And if you don't have one, by the way, these yoga mats are very, very cheap because they're not high quality at all. But they are the perfect material for building your own shadow foam. All right. Next, I will be putting some glue that I bought in a Chinese shop, and it was absolutely crap. So the glue you see here is not the one I ended up using. So I removed that one and I used the one I'm using here as well. This is a much better glue. And it's not as easy to use it as spread it with a brush, but still I managed to learn how to use this glue dispenser. So make sure you put the glue really well into all around the edges of your sheet of foam, and then once you've done the edges, just use this dispenser as a brush and lay the glue in this fashion here. Okay, this is pretty much a quick job. I fast forwarded it here, but it's gonna be pretty fast, you know. So you're gonna do this for each sheet that you're using. So take your next sheet of foam, do the edges, and then do the whole area. So this surface is gonna stick to the one I previously made, okay, to the pink surface. Now the glue side has to be stuck to the glue side of the below layer. So glue goes together with glue. That's the way it works if you want to have a good strength, a good holding power between the sheet of this lasagna style shadow foam. So let it dry for about 5 minutes, depending on the weather condition and temperature, until you feel it's sticky to the touch, and then stick it together with a layer below it and build up on top of that until you will fill up that side of the toolbox. So I recommend, because it gets very sticky once the glue has dried up a little bit. So I've used this technique that I recommend you use it as well. So first put together one edge and then lay it down in this fashion, as you can see here. So that way you can adjust the sheet of paper in the correct manner. Put some pressure on the whole surface. Use your hands, spread the glue. Make it stick together really well. And then you go on to the next layer. So this is my last layer, and this one here, I'm just gonna trim a notch over here to make it just perfect. And I'm gonna do the same way on the other side. So let's put down the last layer. This is a different material. It's very thin, and it's gonna give us contrast between the layer below it, so that the shapes of the different tools are gonna be really well highlighted and also pretty nice to look at. Alright, so once the base is done, then you need to have a layout, let's say your optimal layout, the layout you want to end up with. And take a marker and mark the shape of each piece of your layout. And I also recommend you try a few layouts and then choose for the most ideal for you. As you can see, you will end up with lots of shapes. I have already done a cutout here because I want to show you something here. When you're doing sockets like this, for example, in this case, I've marked the smaller diameter of this socket because this socket has got a sort of notch. You see, the upper part is larger than the lower part. So by doing the cutout, following the shape I marked of the smaller diameter, it turned out to be a really good fit, really tight fit for this socket. So if you're doing sockets, I recommend you stay tight on the shapes and go deep in the foam. And that way your sockets will sit in the foam really, really firm. Now I decided to swap blades and use a more pointy blade, which makes this work much easier. It's much easier to cut out circular shapes, alright, and also a pair of pliers with a pointy tip, so you can extract easily the foam inside the holes there. So go as deep as you can and as deep as your sockets require. So after sockets, I do the cutouts for different tools in here, and it's pretty easy actually to exfoliate the different layers that we just put together by using glue. And in here I use a flat blade screwdriver just to help ease out the different layers, and I will see how deep I need to go for each and every single tool I'm gonna store in this box. Okay, looking good here, looking really nice actually. I'm very impressed by the way it's turning out, really nice. So I'm gonna do this other half of the toolbox, laying down some glue there for the final layer of black thin foam. So in here you can see a time lapse of the way of the pattern that I used to spread the glue on this last sheet of foam. Now this tool, for example, comes loose. I think I cut it too long, so always maybe when you do your cutouts, just be very tight on your tools if you want them to stick on whenever you open and close the suitcase or the case. So in this case, it doesn't stay there, also because it's not deep enough. Okay, so my plan is to just, I don't know, just squeeze it in there. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, just wanted to say that if it's better if you stay tight on the length of your tools instead of going too large, too loose. Okay, so that way they're gonna really stick into your case. It's a different matter if it's you're using those drawers that you pull out. They don't have to be too tight, but if you're carrying around a case like this, you want your tools to really stay there, even when the suitcase is vertical. So just keep that in mind when you do your cutouts. So one of the most let's say difficult things to do in this project is to plan where do you want to put your tools. Okay, so my recommendation is just try different layouts. I've tried many layouts, and I'm just gonna try to use to put in this suitcase the tools that I use most, and the smaller tools as well, the tools that tend to get lost in your box of tools. And so what I recommend you to do, to try different layouts until you find the optimal one for yourself. Okay, so just to give you an idea here, for example, on this side of the box I have ratchets, and they go together, of course, with the sockets, and then I have extensions. So what I want to say is that try to have a connection between the tools that you put in your toolbox, so that way it's going to be much easier for you to find what you need, because when you need a socket, you probably need a ratchet, and when you need a ratchet, you probably need a socket, and so on and so forth. So just keep that in mind, you know. Alright, so let's go on with the project. I take my marker here, and I will mark the shape of the other tools I want to do in this other half of the box, and I will show you a time lapse of this other half, so it's gonna be very quick but still very fascinating. Alright folks, as you can see here, I've changed the previous case for this one here, because this is much sturdier than the previous one. The previous one, by taking away its inner structure, I made it very flimsy, so it was almost unusable with all this weight in here. This case here is a business briefcase. It was used back in the 90s, 80s and 2000, before the digital age, and it's much more sturdy, made out of wood, and it's got a very, very firm structure, so it's very good. Plus it has got locks in here, so I can also lock it. But anyways, this is the finished job. It turned out really, really nice. So what you do here, I'm using one hand because I'm filming, but you open this up, and this one here. Wait a second. Oh, there you go. So yeah, this goes like this. You open this up, okay, and open this up like that. And this foam here also helps keeping the tools in place. It turned out to be really, really nice, very convenient, very conveniently organized. All the tools are connected, as I explained before. And I was actually thinking about putting some latches in here, some maybe Velcro latches. But instead I've chosen to go deeper into the foam and make the tools sit deeper in the foam. Okay. Plus I've added this one to keep the tools in place when the case is thrown around, it's been shaken, and so this is gonna help a lot to keep all the tools in place. Nice job. I recommend you do it if you need to put some order in your tools. These tools now are very easy to locate. If some parts, some items of this tool set goes missing, you know what's missing, and that's the great thing about it. So I hope this project inspired you. Building your own shadow foam toolbox or tool drawers and whatever you have. And yeah, so take care, and I will see you in the next video.